Hello, my name is Diana Cash, and I'm going to tell you my philosophy on learning and teaching. I can tell you the exact date when I fell in love with learning. It was November 10th, 1969, and I was 5 years old. Because I could already count to 100 and say my ABCs forward and backward, my father had decreed that I did not need kindergarten. Every day consisted of hours of boredom sandwiched between watching my siblings and friends disappear down this sidewalk that led to Saguaro School and then joyfully seeing them come back around the corner. Then my grandpa Stevens told my mother about a new children's show he read about in the local paper. I watched the premiere episode and I was hooked. Learning became a joy for me, filled with music, letters, numbers, colors, stories, and of course, Muppets. Watching Sesame Street became a daily ritual for me and ingrained an excitement in me to keep on learning. By the time first grade rolled around, I hit the ground running. At the age of 14, I saw a story on the news about premature babies in Phoenix Children's Hospital and knew from that moment on that I was destined to be a nurse. When I graduated high school in 1982, I had already completed 18 college credits and dove straight into nursing school. I graduated in 1985, passed my boards in July, and became a registered nurse in the state of Arizona. My first job was taking care of premature babies in Phoenix Children's Hospital, just as I had declared 7 years before. Fast forward 8 years and 4 babies later, I missed learning so much that I started going back to school. Over 20 years, I studied a variety of subjects from human origins to geology to Spanish. I obtained my bachelor's degree in 2020 and will finish my master's degree in 2021. I am now 56 years old and I still love learning just as much as I did on November 10th, 1969. When it comes to my teaching philosophy, it may be my Sesame Street roots that make me feel that disseminating information doesn't have to be boring. I have taught neonatal care classes to other nurses in the past, and over time I learned that it was best to utilize 4 concepts: motivation, explanation, visual reminders, and scenario-based learning. For example, a few years ago I taught a class about the new changes in our neonatal hypoglycemia protocol. Had I stood up and read aloud the changes, even I would have been bored. I started the class by telling a true story about a little boy who was permanently brain damaged because his hospital nurses did not catch his hypoglycemia in time. The stress caused by hearing that story motivated the nurses to sit up and pay attention. Next, I explained why the policy had changed because I feel it is much easier to remember protocols if you understand why they were developed or changed in the first place. I believe that my own and others' compliance is greatly improved if a future similar situation triggers the memory of why that protocol exists. Author Simon Sinek says, "People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it." The use of color can affect attention, behavior, and feelings during teaching. My visuals for this class were colorful and condensed a mountain of information into simpler categories and steps. After the class ended, these visuals were displayed in the nursery for easy reference. I know how effective this was because there were many times that I referred to that display myself. Finally, I think that scenario-based learning is the best way to reinforce split-second decisions in emergency situations. Participants are given realistic challenges and receive feedback in real time, all as their choices guide the outcome. An example of this happened a few years ago when I was involved in a newborn code. Epinephrine was needed, which comes in large syringes for adults. However, the process for drawing it up for such a small patient involves the use of a stopcock and 2 syringes. I momentarily froze because it had been quite some time since I had needed to perform this function and I couldn't remember exactly how to do it. Afterward, I collected some of the outdated epinephrine syringes and at the next class, everyone practiced how to draw up a neonatal dose. In conclusion, I think the greatest rewards from teaching are when you see that moment of understanding appear in someone's eyes, when you can engage another person in thoughtful conversation about a topic they are unfamiliar with, or when you can sense someone becoming calmer while practicing a scenario that normally causes them anxiety. There is an ancient Chinese saying which I feel sums it up the best. Tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn. I leave you with a quote by none other than Elmo himself. It's incredible where you can go with your imagination. I hope that my imagination will continue to inspire me to find ways to teach others that leads to the most important conclusion, learning. Thank you and happy learning.